Fraser, the CEO. And today we're announcing that the very first pontoon that will link the city of Brisbane to the bay will be open before the end of the year. This is part of our growing tourism infrastructure fund, where we have provided $5.5 million towards the construction of 3 brand new pontoons here at Howard Smith. It's been the missing link in connecting Brisbane to the bay and our beautiful islands in Moreton Bay. Before the end of the year, Queenslanders and Brisbane residents will be able to come down to Howard Smith Wharves, which will be the gateway to Moreton Bay. This is something that the tourism industry has spoken about for years. And through our growing tourism infrastructure fund, we're very proud today to finally deliver this link between the heart of Brisbane to the Moreton Bay. What we've known, and certainly when I was a teenager, you'd have to, for me, catch a bus into the town, a train out to Cleveland, get off at Cleveland, catch a bus down to Toondah Harbour, then get on the boat, then catch a bus. We are taking all of that out of the way for people. You'll be able to come straight to Howard Smith Wharves and have day trips directly over to the Moreton Bay Islands. This will be a game changer for our beautiful islands, including Stradbroke Island, Minjerribah, in Moreton Bay. We expect that once this construction is completed, that more than 6,000 people a day will be able to go to Moreton Bay through Howard Smith Wharves. This is a great project, one I'm really proud to have backed as a tourism minister, and something that there is uniform support for in the tourism industry as a game changer for Brisbane. I might just get Grace to say a few words.
It's great to be here with Tourism Minister Kate Jones and Luke Fraser, the CEO of Howard Smith Wharves, and what a beautiful location this is in the heart of Brisbane City. And from this heart of Brisbane City, in the McConnell electorate, thousands of my constituents can come down to the pontoon, get on a ferry and be in Moreton Bay on the beautiful straddle that everyone in my electorate absolutely loves in 40 minutes. This is an absolute game changer. There are many city residents right behind me in these apartments who are going to benefit from having their own pontoon right next door to them, where they can hop on a catamaran, on a ferry, and be on Straddie and in Moreton Bay in 40 minutes. It's wonderful news for the seat of McConnell, wonderful news for Brisbane, and wonderful news for me too, because I can walk up the road, get the lift, come down to Howard Smith Wharves, get on the ferry and be on Straddie in 40 minutes. This is wonderful news, a $5.5 million investment, a pontoon ready to go by Christmas time, and it will ferry passengers, many thousands of them, to Moreton Bay and Straddie, probably starting at Christmas time, which is fantastic news for my electorate of McConnell. This is all part about our jobs and infrastructure programs, jobs for Queensland, infrastructure for local tradies, and this is great news for the tourism sector as well. I couldn't be more happier for the residents of Brisbane and, of course, the residents of McConnell. This is fantastic news. Luke?
Look, the ministers have said it all, and to be down here at Howard Smith Wharves is fantastic to see so many familiar faces. It's been a while for us. Before COVID, we had over 1,000 people working at the wharves, and catalyst projects like this we know will create so many more jobs, and we're really excited to see what has been a long-term dream of ours finally come to life. We're excited to be partnering with the Queensland State Government on this essential piece of infrastructure, which will unlock this amazing opportunity of the Brisbane River and Moreton Bay. We can't wait to have passengers leaving from here before Christmas this year.
6,000 people a day, Minister. The catamarans and the ferry services ready to go?
Yes, so Howard Smith Wharves is also investing in vessels that they will use to transport people, and we've already been in negotiations with the Kondamuka people who also want to run direct trips from here to Stradbroke Island as well. So they're working together to see that we can get vessels ready before Christmas. So as part of the Christmas holidays, you'll be able to experience this direct access to Stradbroke Island for the very first time.
Just on borders, obviously with your Tourism Minister, there's been a lot of talk just in the last 24 hours. How can Queensland and our economy survive if we don't have interstate tourists?
Well, we have a much stronger economy than Victoria right now. Victoria, that didn't close its borders, is losing $5.4 billion a month in economic activity. The states that have taken swift action to keep people safe also have the most open economies right now. We are standing here today together because we took tough action to protect Queenslanders and Queensland's economy. This is not happening in Victoria. My brother is in lockdown with a 2-week-old baby that none of our family can see. That's what's happening in other states. So we know that we've had to make tough decisions. They've been painful decisions and very tough for people on the border. But we've also made those decisions not only to save lives, but also to enable our economy to reopen. We are standing at Howard Smith Wharves. That is open. It is trading. It has brought back more than 600 jobs that were shut down at the very early stages of coronavirus. We'll continue to work with the tourism industry and the business community to reopen Queensland's economy safely.
Is it all value at the moment that you're aware of in money lost by not having these interstate tourists?
So if you take the difference between the travellers from Queensland that would normally go interstate and the travellers coming from interstate that would normally come to Queensland, the net difference is $200 million a month.
Minister, can you outline the government's position on borders? There's a little bit of confusion after National Cabinet. Yesterday, Scott Morrison said that the Premier, our Premier, was with him, and then yesterday she clarified with us that she's standing with Mark McGowan to keep the borders closed.
Well, the Premier has been consistent in one thing, which is her responsibility and our responsibility to keep Queenslanders safe. What she has said is that she would very much like to see Australia open by Christmas, as outlined by the Prime Minister. But the responsibility now has to be on Victoria and New South Wales to get their cases under control, just like we have done in other states. So, of course, the Premier has said yesterday that she wants to see Australia open by Christmas in line with the Prime Minister, but we are going to keep a watch on that progress. And quite frankly, we will change our border when we know that Victoria and New South Wales have their cases under control. The focus has to be on those southern states that still have significant community transmission, which, as we know, when that gets at a loss and out of control, like we saw in Victoria, you're back into hard lockdowns. I was only talking to a businessman yesterday who has businesses here in Queensland and Victoria, and the toll it has taken on his business and the people that work for him by opening up, shutting down, opening up, shutting down, has been absolutely devastating, in his own words. We have taken a measured approach to save lives, to keep people safe, and we have the most open economy in the country right now. We are out and about, standing here at Howard Smith Wharves, because we have taken decisive action. So the Premier has said very clearly yesterday that she supports the reopening of Australia by Christmas, but that will come down to the way that coronavirus is handled in those southern states, and the effort has to be in those southern states.
What about that draft definition of a national hotspot? Is that something that the government is considering as well?
Well, I'm not party to the discussions that happened at National Cabinet yesterday. Quite rightly, that is between the Prime Minister and the premiers of premiers across the state. But what I can say is that the Premier does support and the move towards having Australia open by Christmas, but that will come down to how we can manage coronavirus in those southern states.
How does the Queensland government define a hotspot?
Well, that's what we know, that before heading into Friday, as I understood it, there was no public definition of a hotspot. I read it today in the paper, like everybody else. Those are the details, of course, we have to work through. But can I also say, the Premier has copped it from pillar to post all year on borders. This has been going on now since our first coronavirus case and 220 days ago. And she has worked every single day to keep us safe. And quite frankly, I would rather be here with my children and my family, knowing that we are safe, than having to confront some of the conditions we're seeing around the world and in Victoria right now. We will work, and as will the Premier, with National Cabinet, as we have proven throughout the year, and will continue to do so.
Would there still have to be a month of no community transmission in the other states to justify it?
Well, the Premier has said consistently, which is why we're standing here today, that we'll continue to listen to the Chief Health Officer's advice, and we'll do that as we have done throughout the pandemic.
What do you think of those Richmond players going rogue, I guess, on the Gold Coast and going to Australia?
Look, those Richmond players have let every single Queenslander down. It's bloody poor form that they thought that they could, turn their nose at the strict COVID-safe plan that the AFL had to put in place. I commend the AFL for their swift action in kicking them out of Queensland. We don't want them here.
Do you think it would be a safer bet to allow exemptions for people seeking medical attention to come to Queensland rather than AFL teams?
Well, let's be very clear about how this unfolded, and all of it was reported at the time. So right back in April, when we saw the peak of coronavirus in our country, we were working with the AFL, the NRL, netball, cricket's now approaching us, rugby, to say how do we keep sport alive in our country this year. And at the time, I was one of the people that absolutely advocated that if we all have to be locked in our homes, being able to watch our favourite sporting teams, having that the normal things in life that are such a quintessential part of who we are as a nation was something we should absolutely have worked towards. And to date, I think we've done a very good job. You know, these Richmond players have actually been in Queensland, as I understand it, for some months now. So, you know, this was a terrible incident. Awful that they made that terrible decision, but the AFL have acted swiftly. They've kicked them out of Queensland, and that's where they bloody well belong.
What does Coralie O'Rourke's decision not to recontest her seat mean for Labor?
Well, we always knew that. Firstly, I want to thank and acknowledge Coralie O'Rourke for her service. She's been very open and transparent about her ongoing battle with breast cancer, and can I say, she is one of the bravest people I know. Many times she was in pain and suffering, but she fronted up to Parliament and didn't say a word. So I do want to acknowledge and thank Coralie for her service to the people of Queensland, and also as the Minister for Disability Services at a very historic time where we rolled out something that we've been championing for over 20 years for a national disability insurance scheme that will change the lives of millions of Australians that deserved better. In relation to Townsville, we've always known that Townsville is going to be a tough contest, but we will be in there fighting for the people of Townsville. Townsville cannot trust the LNP. I mean, look at David Crisafulli. First thing he did was cut and run on them. Look at the stadium that we've built. Record investment in schools, hospitals and frontline services that were cut by the LNP. We'll be obviously finding a new candidate. I understand that's underway, and we'll be absolutely in the fight in Mundingburra, as will all of our members in Townsville.
When do you expect a candidate to be selected? You want one soon, wouldn't you?
Yes, I understand that that's underway.
Sorry, can I just get back to that national definition of a hotspot? You just referred to it, you saw it in the paper today. Is that something that the government is considering?
So National Cabinet happened yesterday. I'm sure that the Premier will report back to Cabinet, as she always does, about National Cabinet on Monday at our Cabinet meeting.
But she hasn't indicated to you or others?
Well, the Premier has said very clearly that we will continue to listen to our Chief Health Officer, who has kept us safe throughout this pandemic. We will continue to work constructively at National Cabinet, and we will also, as she said yesterday, you know, it would be great to see all of Australia opened by Christmas, but we're not going to do it at the risk of Queensland's economy or Queensland lives.
Fraser, can I just ask just about what's the pandemic been like for businesses like this? How hard has it been?
Yeah, it's been heartbreaking. I mean, we spent so long dreaming about Howard Smith Wharves and opening up, and then to have to shut down, which we fully respected and understood, it was really heartbreaking, especially for all the people that work here. Over 1,000 people really passionate about what they do every day at the Wharves, and for those people to not be able to come to work, it was really devastating. But we are now reopened partially. We're fully operational within the government's guidelines, which we take really seriously. And to welcome back the team and welcome some familiar faces back and see the smiles of guests down here really is amazing. And that's what keeps us going every day.
Do you have any idea how much of an impact, say the borders being closed and a drop in tourism is having businesses like this?
I'm not sure. I mean, we're operating at such low capacities to ensure we comply with the government guidelines. So it's very easy for us to reach that low capacity.
Thanks, team.